The old house stood at the edge of town, its windows boarded up and its walls crumbling with age. Most people avoided it, whispering stories of ghostly apparitions and strange happenings that occurred within its walls. Yet, despite the warnings, Sarah and Jack, two adventurous souls, dared to venture into its depths one fateful evening. Sarah, with her fiery red hair and fearless demeanor, convinced Jack, her loyal companion, to explore the abandoned mansion with her. They stood before the imposing structure, their breath forming misty clouds in the chilly air. "You sure about this, Sarah?" Jack asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty as he eyed the darkened windows. "Absolutely, Jack," Sarah replied, her voice filled with excitement. "Think about the stories we'll have to tell. Come on, let's go." Reluctantly, Jack followed Sarah as they pushed open the creaking door and stepped into the darkness within. The air was heavy with dust, and the faint scent of decay lingered in the stale atmosphere. As they made their way through the decrepit hallways, shadows danced eerily along the walls, and the floorboards groaned beneath their weight. Sarah's heart raced with exhilaration, while Jack's nerves were on edge. "I don't like this, Sarah," Jack muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Relax, Jack," Sarah reassured him, though her own bravado wavered slightly. "There's nothing here but old memories and forgotten dreams." But even as she spoke, a chill crept down her spine, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They explored room after room, each one shrouded in darkness and filled with the echoes of the past. Yet, as they ventured deeper into the house, a sense of unease settled over them like a suffocating cloak. In one of the dimly lit rooms, Sarah's flashlight flickered, casting long, distorted shadows across the walls. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest, as she heard a faint whispering sound echoing from the darkness. "Did you hear that?" Jack asked, his voice barely audible over the pounding of their hearts. Sarah nodded, her grip tightening on the flashlight. "We're not alone in here, Jack." They pressed on, their footsteps echoing in the empty corridors as they searched for the source of the whispering. It seemed to follow them, growing louder and more insistent with each passing moment. As they reached the top of a narrow staircase, the whispering reached a crescendo, filling the air with an otherworldly chill. Sarah and Jack exchanged a nervous glance before descending into the depths below. In the basement, the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. The darkness pressed in around them, suffocating and oppressive. Suddenly, Sarah's flashlight flickered and died, plunging them into total darkness. Panic surged through her veins as she fumbled for the light switch, her fingers trembling with fear. "Sarah, I don't like this," Jack whispered, his voice trembling with fear. Before Sarah could respond, a cold wind swept through the basement, extinguishing the feeble glow of their flashlight. In the darkness, they heard the sound of shuffling footsteps, growing louder and more menacing with each passing moment. Heart pounding, Sarah reached out for Jack's hand, her fingers intertwining with his as they faced the unknown together. And then, out of the darkness, a voice spoke, its words dripping with malice and contempt. "Who dares to disturb the slumber of the dead?" it whispered, sending shivers down their spines. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she searched frantically for the source of the voice. But there was nothing there, nothing but the cold emptiness of the abandoned basement. We didn't mean to disturb anyone," Sarah stammered, her voice trembling with fear. The voice laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the darkness like the tolling of a funeral bell. "Foolish mortals," it hissed. "You have trespassed into a realm beyond your understanding. Now, you shall pay the price for your arrogance." With a sudden gust of wind, the shadows around them began to twist and contort, taking on sinister shapes and forms. Sarah and Jack watched in horror as the darkness coalesced into a swirling vortex, sucking them into its depths. Desperate to escape, they clawed at the ground, their screams lost in the howling winds that surrounded them. But it was no use. The darkness consumed them, swallowing them whole and dragging them down into the abyss. And as they vanished into the void, their voices joined the chorus of whispers that echoed through the haunted halls of the old house, forever lost to the shadows.